Good evening, everyone. My name is Jimmy, and I'd like to welcome you back to another Tech Talk in our series sponsored by Bracklet. Today, we have the pleasure of welcoming Nam Ha and David Tezza to give us a brief talk about front end frameworks. So, without further ado, I'd like to pass it on over to y'all.
Thanks for the warm introduction, Jimmy. I'm David,
Nam.
and we'd first like to start off by thanking Bracklet for sponsoring this Tech Talk. Today, we're going to be talking about front-end frameworks. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Vue. But first, let's dive a little bit into what is a framework. So a framework is a tool that provides ready-made components or solutions that are customized to speed up development. It basically provides a structure for you to build your app on. And why might developers use a framework? Well, frameworks provide a structured, efficient, and well-supported approach to building web applications. This helps developers streamline the development process, improve code quality, and deliver robust, scalable, and secure applications. React has kind of dominated the industry as the most popular technology to use for as a front-end framework or library recently, but other libraries and frameworks have made a name for themselves. Angular, which is designed by Google, Svelte, Solid, and of course, which we'll be going over today, Vue. And just a quick touch on the popularity. So you can download all of these as an NPM package. So I just went with showing React, Angular, Vue, and Svelte. And over the past 5 years, you can see that React is significantly ahead of all the others, and Vue and Angular are kind of competing for second. There are those spikes, as you see in your 2023, but that's just kind of a bug with how NPM tracks their downloads. It's not actually representative of anything that happened. But yeah, I just wanted to highlight kind of the popularity of each of these different options. And with that, I'd like to pass it off to Nam to dig a little bit deeper into Vue itself.
Thanks, David. So let's get into Vue. So Vue.js, often referred to as Vue, was created by Evan You back in 2014. Vue is a progressive framework for building user interface. It allows developers to extend HTML with declarative syntax and offer powerful features like data reactivity and reusable component. So why is Vue popular? The first point here is ease of learning. So Vue is known for its easy learning curve. They've actually learned in like an hour. The simple and clear documentation, along with straightforward API, makes it accessible to developers with varying levels of expertise. This ease of learning appeals to both beginners and experienced developers. The second point is light and powerful. So it's lightweight and easy for developers to learn and use, with minimal boilerplate code and small bundle size. At the same time, Vue focus on performance makes it a strong choice for building complex and dynamic web applications. And on to the last point is our vibrant community. So Vue have a very active community of developers providing extensive resources, tutorials, and third-party libraries. With regular releases and updates bring both improvement and new features from the core developer team. So let's head over to some of the Vue core features. So the first feature we're going to cover here is reactivity. So one of the core feature of Vue is reactivity system. Vue ensure that changes in your data are automatically and efficiently reflected in the DOM, the document object model. This reactivity provides a seamless and dynamic user experience where the interface updates in real time as data changes. And the second topic we are going to cover is component-based architecture. This architecture approach allows developers to create small, reusable components to build a complex user interface. It enhances code maintainability and reusability by breaking the application into a manageable, self-contained parts. And the third core feature is directives. So in Vue.js, directives are instructions that modify the behavior or appearance of HTML elements. They allow developers to create dynamic and interactive templates with ease. So built-in directives are like vmodel, v-for, and v-if enable common tasks like condition rendering, while custom directive offer flexibility to extend Vue functionality to suit specific needs. And our last cover topic is Vuex. So Vuex is an official state management library. When it comes to managing the state of your Vue application, Vuex is designed to manage application states and serve as a centralized store for all the components in an application, with rules ensuring that the state can only be mutated in a predictable fashion. I'm gonna pass it on to David for our demo of Vue.
So we figured the best way to show off Vue is just to build a quick little application. So to start off with, you can simply run the npm create Vue at latest, and this goes ahead and just builds you a quick little boilerplate app. I've already done that ahead of time because it comes with a bunch of default components and assets that we don't really need because we just want to start with a blank slate. So I've gone and deleted all those. But let's just talk about how Vue is kind of set up first. So Vue components are single file components, SFCs, and they have this .vue extension, which just means they contain all the logic, so the JavaScript, the templating, so the HTML, and styling, so the CSS, in a single file. Vue has two different API styles, and today we're going to be going over the composition API style. I'm not going to go into specifics. The other option is options API. But if you're building a full-scale application, Vue recommends going with this SFC structure along with the composition API. So we'll head straight into the index HTML, and it just has some boilerplate HTML. And similar to React, we just have this div with an ID. We're just calling it app. And that's basically where we're going to just mount our components to. And then we're running the script module with the type module that's referencing the main.js, so that we actually, connect to the rest of our app. So we'll look at the main.js real quick. It's real simple. We're importing this create app from Vue. We're importing our app from our app.vue. So this is our actual component that we'll be mounting onto that div element with the ID of app. So let's just go right into building this quick little application. So the single file component structure is broken up into the script as a script, template, and style, as I mentioned before. We'll be focusing on the script and template sections today. So no CSS styling, sorry for you UI fans, but I just want to keep this kind of quick. So we're going to start with this script setup, and this setup condition just kind of makes sure that every time this component, for each instance of this component, all this logic in the script is going to be run every time. It also makes any logic and variables in that script available to this template. And as I mentioned before, the template's just going to be our HTML elements that actually appear on the page. So first thing I'm doing, I'm going to import this ref from Vue. And this is just how we're going to basically build our reactive state. So let's just go ahead and demonstrate that. I'm going to create a const message and set it equal to ref with a message. We'll just say hello world, right? Then in our scripts, I'm going to create a heading. And to access these variables in the script, use this double curly bracket syntax. And I'll just simply put message here. We'll just, in the command line, run the script npm run dev to get everything built. Vue does come default built with Vite as the way it bundles everything together. But we'll refresh our page. And I probably didn't save, so let's try that again. Interesting. Wow. Oh, quick debugging. I didn't put this ref into curly brackets, so that's my mistake. And now it should work. All right, cool. Sorry about that. Yes, now we have this message. And if we alter this text inside this ref and we save, it modifies the text that renders. So I just want to add some functionality as well. So we're going to do a simple counter and button functionality. So we'll just have this counter and initializing it to 0. I'm going to create a quick function to increment and build a quick function that all it does is we're going to increment the counter. So the way you access the actual value of this reactive state, you put the variable name and then you have this .value syntax. And so here we'll just have a button. As Nam mentioned before, we have these directives to add functionality or other things to our HTML elements. So I'm using this von directive, which just is an event listener, and I'm going to set it to click. So we're listening for a click, and then when we click it, I want to execute this increment function. Then we'll just have a click me, and then we'll simply put out a little paragraph that displays our count. And once again, the double curly bracket syntax to display our counter. So we'll save everything. We have this button pop up that says click me, we click it, and the count increments. So awesome. I already have another component pre-built called the surprise component. We're going to take a quick look at it. Everything's kind of anonymous to keep the surprise, well, a surprise. But once again, we're importing ref from Vue. I have this link. Vue kind of has this way to import variables from another file kind of already built into it. So I have a .env file that has this link I want to say from a certain API. I'm not going to reveal spoilers. We're creating a constant called surprise, initializing it to this object with the name and image as empty strings, making a basic fetch request, having this function get surprise, which makes a basic fetch request to our API, and then we're going to access the properties on this object with surprise.value, and then .name and .image for those individual properties on that object. And then now down to here, we have another directive. Since v_on, these event listeners are so common, they have this shorthand where you can just use an @ instead of writing v_on every time. But click will do a get surprise. Then Vue also has conditional rendering. So we have this v_if statement, where essentially if whatever you're setting it equal to returns truthy, this element will render. If it returns falsy, these elements will not render. So since surprise.image is just initialized to an empty string, these two elements will not initially render. So you don't even have to export it. All you have to do is import it. So we'll import surprise from the file path, surprise Vue, and then simply put this as a component in our template. So we'll save. Ooh, did I spell it wrong? I just spelled the component wrong. So we'll save, and we can go here to click to get a surprise, and voila, that's a side hook. And that's the end of our demonstration. And that's going to kind of wrap up our presentation as well. So we'll just go through a brief summary of everything we've covered. So Vue is one of many front-end frameworks and libraries that developers can choose from to assist in building their applications. Vue is easy to learn as it is light and powerful with amazing core features to support users building front-end applications. As Nam mentioned, it only took me like an hour and a half maybe to go through enough of the tutorial to build that little demo for you guys. And also, Vue has excellent documentation and an active community, which makes it a joy to develop with. I pretty much always had an answer when I was trying to go through and build this demo. I could just look at the documentation and pretty much everything was always solved within there. Here's our works cited. My demo took a little bit long, so it looks like we don't have any times for questions, but feel free to reach out to Nam or I on LinkedIn or GitHub to talk about Vue or any other technologies that you're currently interested in. We'd like to thank Bracklet once again for sponsoring this Tech Talk. And with that, I'll pass it back to you, Jimmy.
Thank y'all so much for that informative talk. And thank you everyone else for coming out tonight. We'll catch you at the next one.